All right. Hello there. Welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right. I hope that you are having a good time wherever you are in the world as you're listening to this video. I want to take a few minutes today to share with you my thoughts on the new release from the Criterion Collection. This is another 4K Ultra HD release from Criterion. It's coming in at spine number 1204, and it is the 1996 film from director Danny Boyle, and it is Trainspotting on Criterion 4K Ultra HD. This film is from 1996. It stars Ewan McGregor in the lead role. Danny Boyle is the director, Andrew McDonald is the producer, and John Hodge is the writer, the screenwriter for this film. Very fascinating film. I'm going to get into what I think about this movie, Trainspotting. I saw it for the first time on this new release. So I'm going to talk about what I think about this movie, what I think about how this looks on 4K Ultra HD from the Criterion Collection, the supplements. We'll talk a little bit about this very interesting digipack presentation that is the source of a fair amount of controversy amongst people who have seen this release. So we'll talk about that, but I also want to hear your thoughts in the comment section about what some of your favorite films are from Danny Boyle and what you think about Trainspotting. So we'll get into all of it as we get into this review of Trainspotting from Criterion Collection on 4K Ultra HD. Let's talk about it. All right, we've got Danny Boyle's 1996 film Trainspotting that's now out on Criterion Collection 4K Ultra HD. It's also available in a Blu-ray edition. And this is a fascinating film. I saw it for the very first time a few days ago when it arrived on my doorstep. I popped it in the player. And this is the kind of film that really makes an impression upon you, largely because of the subject matter, but also the way that this film was shot and the way it was put together. It's a very fascinatingly put together film, and the subject matter is very serious, but it's dealt with in a darkly comic way with this particular film. This is a very interesting film from director Danny Boyle. Of course, this is the film Trainspotting. You've got Ewan McGregor, who's playing the lead character Renton. You've got Begbie here. You have Diane, Sick Boy, and Spud. Those are your main characters in this film. Danny Boyle is the director. You see him here. He, of course, got his directorial debut in this film here, Shallow Grave, which let me come out of this here so you can see Shallow Grave. This is the first film from Danny Boyle to enter the Criterion Collection, as you can see here. And this is a film that brings together the filmmaking trio of Danny Boyle, the director. You have the producer, Andrew McDonald, and the writer. Again, the writer's name is John Hodge. And so this is a filmmaking trio that brought us Shallow Grave, spine number 616 in the Criterion Collection, a film from 1994. I can definitely recommend this release. It's been a while since I've seen this film, but I need to revisit it. But it's a really interesting film. That filmmaking trio comes back again a couple of years later to make Trainspotting, and that is the film that we're going to talk about here. So you have Danny Boyle, the director, you have Andrew McDonald, the producer, and John Hodge, who wrote the screenplay. He wrote the screenplay based upon the novel from Irvine Welsh. So Irvine Welsh wrote this novel that was published in 1993 called Trainspotting. It was written in a way that on first glance create some challenges for, okay, exactly how do we adapt this to a movie? What do we do with this? Someone presented the novel to Andrew McDonald and say, hey, maybe you ought to make your next film on this book. And so they got the book. They were fascinated by the source material, but then came the challenge of, okay, how do you take this material and adapt it to the cinematic format? And what they decided to do was say, okay, we're going to focus the adventure or this film on one of the characters, in this case Renton, and we're going to get Ewan McGregor to play this character. So we're going to basically show this film through the lens mostly of the experience of Renton, Ewan McGregor, and his friends and their experiences in Edinburgh, Scotland, dealing with these addictions and just trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. So that essentially is the gist of it. You have Ewan McGregor as Renton. He is the lead character. He is unemployed. He lives with his parents in Edinburgh, Scotland. He is getting high on heroin, coming off of a high, getting high again, going through this somewhat endless cycle of addiction. And you see the destructive effects of it in this film. His gang is played by Johnny Miller as Sick Boy. You have Robert Carlyle as Begbie, and you have Ewan Brenner as Spud. I think this film does a really good job of taking the message from Nancy Reagan, don't do drugs. It's one thing to hear that, but when you see this movie, you really understand why you should never even think about it because this film really does a good job of showing the effects of these substances in terms of the places, the literal places it can take you. In this case, you see Ewan McGregor's character going down a toilet, or imagining himself going in through a toilet. And there's other imagery like this, whether it's a toilet example here or literally sinking through the floor, sinking through a carpet in the floor. I love the imagery that this film shows in terms of the hallucinatory effects of these substances and the places that it can take people. And ultimately the destructive effects that these substances can have on people's lives. Kelly MacDonald plays Diane, and she is sort of the love interest for Ewan McGregor's Renton in this film. And it's just a fascinating film all the way around. I was really blown away with the presentation of this film, how it was shot, but also the very serious subject matter and how it was dealt with on a serious level, but then also in a darkly comic way as well. So I think they did a nice job of balancing those different moods and blending them together in a way that creates a very unique cinematic experience. So you have here, I'll read the back of the case, back of this strange digipack case. It says, a jolt of adrenaline shot straight to the heart of 1990s British cinema. This darkly funny adaptation of Irvine Welsh's novel was a major breakthrough for director Danny Boyle, producer Andrew MacDonald, and screenwriter John Hodge. With live wire energy and stylistic verbs, Trainspotting bounces across the life and times of Mark Renton, Ewan McGregor. This is Ewan McGregor before he starred in The Phantom Menace, the first Star Wars prequel from 1999. This is 3 years prior to that, 1996. So in this film, he played Mark Renton, a Scottish heroin addict who, along with his misfit mates, get high, get in trouble, get clean, gets high again, all in a bid to outrun the banality of modern existence. Kinetically cut to an iconic soundtrack of techno, rock, and Britpop, this indie phenomenon chooses life in all its ugly, beautiful, and terrifying exhilaration. So this film shows the exhilaration, the kinetic, nonstop ride that they're going through. From the very first opening shot, you see them running through the streets and just like they're running full on, but you can tell that they're going nowhere. They're going nowhere productive. They're up to no good. They're living a sliding down life. And this film just shows in so many different, vignettes what is going on in the destructive lifestyles of these young people. So I think it does a really effective job of presenting that. And it's just one of those, it's one of those gritty, realistic, films that really shows the gritty underbelly of urban decay and life, in this case, in Edinburgh, Scotland. So I thought it was a very realistic portrayal that I really, really enjoyed. So it's an exploration of addiction, friendship, and survival against the backdrop of Edinburgh's heroin-ravaged underworld. You have Ewan McGregor. He's portraying Mark Renton, and he is basically going through a tumultuous journey to break free of his addiction. So he's going through differing levels of success breaking through his heroin addiction. So it shows the relationships with his friends. You have Sick Boy, Spud, Tommy, and a very volatile Begbie. Of course, I showed on here the different characters. I'll put this back on the stage. You'll see Robert Carlyle played Begbie in this film, and it was a very powerful performance from him that it's stunning. Some of the scenes with Begbie are absolutely mind-blowing, as well as there's a really funny scene with Ewan McGregor as Spud in a job interview. So each of these characters, I think, have their moments. Sick Boy, Johnny Miller, every one of these characters has their moments, and I think you'll really appreciate it as you get into this particular film. This is a film I definitely need to see again, and it's just an example of that. It really just brings to life why no one, as I'm holding it upside down, why no one should ever get involved in this type of a life. So I think if there's one thing that I would take away from this film is I think it drives that message home in a cinematic format in a way that is far beyond just saying don't do drugs could ever do. So this film makes it clear why you should never do it. And I think it does a really good job of that. All right, so how does TRAINSPOTTING look on 4K Ultra HD? In a word, it looks great. It looks terrific on this format. I mean, when you look at all areas of picture quality in terms of detail, depth, resolution, depth and clarity in the image, this image looks very nice on 4K Ultra HD. I thought that with the 4K resolution, you get a fair amount of detail in the image. I think that this is based off of a new 4K digital restoration. It says in the back here. So it's a new restoration. It's based on the original 35 millimeter camera negative. You've got Dolby Vision HDR, and I think that Dolby Vision does a nice job of bringing those colors to life. It's not an incredibly vibrant or punchy film from a color standpoint, but the colors are presented effectively in this film. I think that the scenes in the dark look very nice on this picture in terms of the detail and being able to make out details even in those darker scenes, and just showing the contrast within the image. I think it does a really nice job of presenting the characters, separation from the foreground and the background, and really giving you that sense of dimensionality in the image. So some nice depth in the image, and overall it's a very healthy, clean looking presentation. It's a healthy image. It looks clean. It's a stable image. It is a very strong looking, high definition 4K presentation. So I have nothing but high marks to say about the way this film looks on 4K. I've never seen it on any other previous release. I haven't seen it on Blu-ray or DVD or any previous release, but I have to imagine that this is the best looking presentation of TRAINSPOTTING on the home video market now, and it is definitely worth it from a picture quality standpoint if you love this film. In terms of the audio, you're getting a 2.0 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack, and it sounds perfectly fine, which is nice because you get a pretty nice soundtrack with this film, and I think that music comes across really well. The dialogue is clean, comes across quite nicely, and you can hear everything that's going on in the soundscape. So I think the overall presentation of this film from a video standpoint and an audio standpoint is very, very strong for TRAINSPOTTING on 4K Ultra HD. So I think the presentation, fantastic. I mean, you will definitely be pleased with this. If you're a fan of this film, I think you're going to be very pleased with this presentation of TRAINSPOTTING on this disc. Now, in terms of the special features, I think the special features are also quite nice. You get an audio commentary with Danny Boyle, the producer Andrew McDonald, and the screenwriter John Hodge. So that trio is presented on this audio commentary, as well as Ewan McGregor, which is great. You do get some deleted scenes. You get a new interview with Cave Quinn and costume designer Rachel Fleming. You get the making of TRAINSPOTTING, which is a documentary featuring archival interviews, including those big three, Ewan McGregor, several of the cast members, all appearing. You even get an appearance from the novelist who this is based off of. So a lot of different people talking about the making of this film. You have Off the Rails, which is called Off the Rails. And then you have Memories of Trainspotting, another documentary from 2008 as well. You have reflections from soundtrack artists Iggy Pop, Jarvis Cocker, Bobby Gillespie, which is really interesting to hear, their perspectives of the music that they, made that's associated with this film. So it's interesting hearing that. You get a theatrical teaser and a trailer, and you get some essays from critic Graham Fuller and author Irvine Welsh in Welsh's glossary of terms from the movie. So very fascinating film that gives you a glimpse into life in Edinburgh, Scotland. It's interesting sort of hearing the dialect and the way they talk. You sort of have to work to make sure you're understanding what people are saying. Even though this is an English language film, I had to have it on the subtitles to make sure I can fully understand everything that was being articulated because of that, very different dialect. But I'm going to pull out here. This is the booklet that's included in this digipack. Am I holding it up correctly? Trainspotting, excuse me. This is your booklet, Trainspotting Brand Guidelines. You see here. And then, of course, I love the aesthetic, of this. It just holds to the aesthetic. Of course, you see Ewan McGregor in one of his lesser than finer moments. See the wonderful characters. I just love it. This is Begbie, fantastic. But this is Beyond the Tracks by Graham Fuller, one of the essays included in this, which is awesome. Really good essay. You have Diane, some really cool characters in this film. Really cool characters, all illustrating what this sliding down life is about. No Victims by Irvine Welsh. Irvine Welsh wrote the novel Trainspotting that this film is based on. So just fascinating. So this booklet goes into this particular sleeve of this digipack. So I want to go ahead and talk about, let's go ahead and get into this digipack presentation that people are kind of, why am I saying kind of? People are not happy with this packaging, okay? So you're getting this digipack packaging. So check this out. It's very interesting because you see, this is the part where people are kind of having an issue. Like people are ripping this area here. So you have to be careful when you open this up. It opens up, okay? So you have to be very careful. And then, of course, this is the other side here. Okay, so I want to show that to you so you can see. Let me just scroll all the way over. So you can see this package. And then this is the inside. Okay. And the discs, interestingly enough, the discs are like housed in these cases, in these areas here, right? So you have your 4K disc over here and you've got your Blu-ray over here. And people are just not happy with this particular packaging. I feel it's not the best packaging in the world. And I feel like it would have probably been better to have this in the standard cases that you see Criterion Collection editions in. In fact, I was in Barnes & Noble the other day and I saw that the Blu-ray edition uses the standard case. I'll even put a video up there showing this. I mean, it's crazy. Why would they put that in the standard case and then put the 4K in this kind of whacked out digipack? Now, I can understand why a lot of people are upset about this presentation. For me personally, it doesn't bother me as much, but it's one of those things where I feel like I would really have just rather they put it in a standard case as they have other releases rather than deal with this. I have a feeling that given the feedback that they're likely getting on this particular packaging, this might be the only release that gets this particular packaging. But like I said, I personally am not too bothered by it. I think it's a little funky. It's all right. I mean, but the overall film itself, the 4K presentation, the booklet that's inside, and what you're getting with this overall package in terms of special features, I'm pretty happy with this release. So if you can get past this funky packaging, I can definitely recommend this film if you're interested in the films of Danny Boyle, if you like Ewan McGregor, if you like films that deal with this particular subject matter in a way that is beneficial to people to understand the harmful effects of it, but also being presented with a film that is also entertaining in other ways, then I think this is a film that you should consider picking up on 4K Ultra HD. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on Trainspotting from the Criterion Collection on 4K Ultra HD. Definitely recommended if you are into Danny Boyle's films and if you are interested in diving into this subject matter in a way that is serious, but also presents it in an entertaining package. So let me know in the comments section below what you think and what some of your favorite films are from Danny Boyle, and also some of your favorite films starring Ewan McGregor. So let me know that in the comments section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.